Welcome. Today is Friday, October the 27th, and this is the number one channel, your number one source for NBA betting picks and analysis on all the internet. Today, we got a big 11-game schedule, some very interesting matchups, and as usual, I'm going to break every single game down separately, walk you through my thought process, give you my insight, and provide my best side for every single game. But before we get started, you guys know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new and you haven't done so already, I do 2 videos daily. In my second video, I give you guys my best bet of the night. And tonight, I think I got a good one. That's why it is important for you to subscribe to the channel if you are new. And now, with all that out of the way, let's get right down to business and check out today's action. Let's go. Our first game of the night, Detroit at Charlotte taking on the Hornets. The Hornets 3.5-point home favorites. I had Charlotte favored by 3. The Pistons in their first game were in Miami taking on the Miami Heat. Lost it 103-102. Very good performance overall. It was a game of runs. Towards the end of the game, Miami was up big by double digits. Detroit made a furious comeback. Had opportunities to win the game at the end. Losing by a point. Respectable performance overall. Cade Cunningham had a big game, 30 points. His first game back after being injured pretty much all last year. Cade Cunningham, guys, is a baller. In this game, Bojan Bogdanovic from the injury front missed the game. He's expected to miss tonight's game as well. Charlotte, in their first game, were at home taking on the Hawks. Won that game by 6. Very competitive ball game. It was going back and forth in the score. Atlanta was leading the majority of the game. At the end, Charlotte took control. Managed to stave off the Hawks at the end. They played very good defense, surprisingly, in that game. Held the Hawks to 110 points. The Hawks, we know, one of the highest scoring teams in the league last year. Held them to just 42% shooting and 17% from 3. Terry Rozier, or Scary Terry, had 24 points. PJ Washington, 25. Hornets started off the season very well. Now in this ball game, guys, I think the style of plays are very contrasting between these two teams. Charlotte likes to get up and down the court, jack up a lot of quick shots. Detroit, more of a half-court team. I think this style of play doesn't really suit Detroit, especially on the road. I'm going to be looking for a play here with Charlotte and the -3.5. That's my pick in the first game tonight. Up next, we got the Denver Nuggets on the road taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. The defending champs, 5.5-point road favorites. I had them favored by 4. The Nuggets got their championship rings, and they also got a very, very nice win in their opener at home against the Lakers. Wire-to-wire win where they just came out with their hair on fire in the first quarter. Got a big double-digit lead and never looked back. Wire-to-wire, comfortable win for the defending champs. The Grizzlies, on the other hand, started off their season on a bad note. They lost their first game at home. The best record in the NBA last year, the Memphis Grizzlies, dropped their first game at home. Over here, we see a 5.5-point line. Pretty big line. There is a reason for this. If we take a look over here at the injury report, Brandon Clark still out with his Achilles injury. Luke Kennard got added to the list. Concussion protocol. He got hit in that game against the Pelicans. Santi Aldama, very important rotation player, missed the opener. Is going to be out again tonight. Steven Adams, we know, season-ending injury. And we all know John Moran out for 25 games. The Grizzlies are struggling on the injury front. The reason for this 5.5-point line. This line, guys, in my opinion, though, is a little high. I'm going to look to take a bet here with Memphis in the plus 5.5. I know a lot of you might be thinking, damn, this guy's crazy. Just talked about all the negatives for Memphis and all the positives for Denver. But keep in mind, guys, the Nuggets are not as deep as they were last year. Talked about this in the previous videos. The Nuggets lost Bruce Brown and Jeff Green off the bench. They are getting some good contributions. But remember, guys, they are also a team that is not as strong on the road as they are at home. Last year, they were sub 500 on the road. The Grizzlies are going to have to go deeper in their bench, but I think after the game one, after their loss in the opener, they're going to come out a little more focused, keep the game within this number. Looks like a tough bet, but I'm going to go in here with Memphis in the plus 5.5. Up next, the New York Knicks in Atlanta taking on the Hawks. The Hawks are 2-point home favorites. I had them favored by 1.5. Start off with the Knicks. Talk about the Knicks in their opener at Madison Square Garden. Took on the Celtics in what was a pretty ugly game overall as far as quality goes. Both teams shooting the ball very poorly. The Knicks, we take a look at the numbers over here. Shot just 37% from the floor, 53% from the free throw line. Despite those bad numbers, they were up in the fourth quarter by I think 7-8 points, but a big run at the end. Kristaps Porzingis pretty much put the nail in the coffin for the Knicks, and the Knicks dropped their opener by 4. The Hawks also lost their season opener. They were in Charlotte. They also shot the ball very poorly in that ball game. A very competitive ball game. It was going back and forth. The Hawks controlled the tempo of that game and were up in the score for the majority of it. But at the end, the Hornets scored 38 points in the fourth quarter and got the W in that game. Lost for the season opener in the season opener for the Hawks. 42% shooting overall and just 17% from 3, 5 for 29. Very bad shooting. Despite that, they were also competitive, could have won the ball game at the end. Both the Hawks and the Knicks stunk it up in their openers. Now, in this ball game, guys, the Hawks, 2 points. Trae Young, we know he likes to ball out against the Knicks. He loves playing against the Knicks. And the Knicks, I can't say I was really happy with what I saw in their first game. In this ball game, I'm going to go with the home team here and take Atlanta with the -2. I don't think they're going to shoot this bad at home. And despite the Knicks, guys, I know they're one of the best road teams at least they were last season, one of the best road teams in the league. I just didn't like the signs from the first game. I think they might start off the season a little bit slow from the looks of it. I'm going to take Atlanta here with the -2. Up next, we got Miami in Boston taking on the Celtics. Last year's Eastern Conference Finals rematch. Celtics favored by 8 in this game. I had them favored by 7.5. The Celtics in their first game were in Madison Square Garden. A very competitive and exciting ball game, especially at the end. Had a lot of suspense. The Celtics managed to win that game by 4 points despite not playing that great, especially against a Knicks team that couldn't throw a rock in the ocean. New York just couldn't score the ball at a high clip. Celtics made the big plays at the end and squeezed out a 4-point win. Porzingis, very good debut for Kristaps Porzingis. He scored 30, made all the big plays at the end. Jason Tatum's had 34. What I did take note of in that game, the starters, very top-heavy team, the Celtics, of course. The starters logged in some huge minutes, 39 minutes Tatum, 38 Porzingis, 38 Jaylen Brown, 35 Jrue Holiday, Derek White, 32 minutes. That is definitely not sustainable for the Celtics. They're going to have to get some help off the bench. Usually at home, the bench players do play better. Let's see if Peyton Pritchard, Horford, Hauser, Cornette, the rotation players can help out the starters and not have them play so many minutes. The Miami Heat in their first game were at home against the Pistons. The Miami Heat from last year, if you remember, do tend to play down to their competition, play very well against the good teams, very bad against the bad ones. A team that, of course, is made for the playoffs. During the regular season, we're going to see a lot of inconsistencies. We've seen that from the season opener. In this ballgame, of course, they're going to have a lot of motivation. A rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Finals, like I mentioned. But the Miami Heat, like I've also talked about in my team previews videos, lost Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, 2 very important players from their rotation. They definitely have gotten weaker this year than what they were in last year's NBA Finals run. In this ball game, guys, I think the Celtics, like I just mentioned, the bench players should contribute a little more. The starting 5, of course, possibly the best in the league. I'm going to go here with the Celtics and the -8. Of course, the Miami Heat are capable of going in there and doing the damage. As long as they have Jimmy Butler on the team, they could do just about anything. Remember, Jimmy Butler didn't play in any preseason games. He was very sluggish in the opener. I think it's going to take him a while. He is a little older now. It's going to take him a few games to hit his stride. In this ballgame, I'm going to go with Boston in the -8. I think they have a good chance of winning this game, possibly by double digits. Up next, we got the OKC Thunder in Cleveland taking on the Cavs. The Cavs 3.5-point home favorites. Currently, I had them favored by 4. The Thunder in their season opener were in Chicago. And what a season opener it was for the Thunder. They played very well overall, shot the ball well, 55% from the floor overall, 49% from 3, 83 from the free throw line. Just a very solid overall game. SGA had 31 points. He picked up where he left off last year. Chet Holmgren, his debut, scored 11, 4 for 7 shooting. Pretty solid. They got help overall. The bench logged in some minutes. Overall, very good performance from the Thunder. Won that game comfortably by 20. The Cavs needed to work in their season opener. They were in Brooklyn taking on the Nets, a Nets team that I expect to not be in the playoffs this year. The Cavs, I expect to be one of the better teams in the regular season. Needed a late 3-point shot from Donovan Mitchell. They went up by a point. They were losing by 2. Donovan Mitchell hit a 3 with like 10 seconds left. Secured the W for the Cavs. Cavs did not play that well overall. They started off the game pretty hot. Got a big 10, 12 point lead or something. Brooklyn fought all the way back. But Cleveland did manage to squeeze in a W at the end. From the injury front, we do have some significant stuff here over here for Cleveland. Darius Garland, we see he did play in the first game, listed as questionable with his hammy. He was also listed as questionable for the opener, but he did end up playing. Dean Wade also listed as questionable here. This Jarrett Allen, big news over here. Jarrett Allen, he's still out with an ankle injury. He missed the opener. You could tell the Cavs are not the same team without Allen. The anchor on defense, rebounding, scores the ball down on the blocks. Just overall a very big presence, matching up over there with Evan Mobley, one of the best front courts in the league. He's missing. The Cavs are a different team without Jarrett Allen. In this ball game, guys, I'm going to go here with the Thunder in the plus 3.5. I think they can keep it within this number. But, of course, we still have to see what Darius Garland's status is going to be when he gets ruled in or out. See what this line does. But as of now, we know he is a little hampered over there to be on the injury report today, and on the season opener means he's not at 100%. Let's try the Oklahoma City Thunder here with the plus 3.5. See if they can pick up a few games in a row here to start off the regular season. Up next, we got the Toronto Raptors making the short trip south to Chicago to take on the Bulls. The Bulls 2.5-point home favorites. I had them favored by 2. The Raptors in their season opener got a very nice 3-point win against the Minnesota Timberwolves at home in a very, very ugly ball game. Very poor shooting, low scoring overall. But what was impressive here is the Raptors' defense held the Timberwolves to just 34% shooting from the floor, 25% from 3. We know the Minnesota Timberwolves are a very high-scoring team, so to hold them to 94 points, very impressive. Dennis Schroeder, one of the most underrated players in the league, in my opinion, had a very good debut for the Raptors. Scored 22 points, dished out 7 assists. Very solid in his debut with the Raptors. The Bulls, on the other hand, in their opener, were at home taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Dropped that game by 20. Did not play well overall. They were competitive for about half the game, but then OKC made a big run in the second half, blew the game wide open. The Bulls did not have a run in them, dropped that game by 20. Now in this ball game, guys, the Bulls historically do play very well against the Raptors at home, even though the first signs from the season opener looks like the Raptors do have the edge in this game. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bulls here and the minus 2.5. Even though I do think towards game time, this line, we could get something better, maybe a 2, maybe even a 1.5. I do expect this to get bet down. I think the public will probably come piling in on the Raptors. I like the Bulls here. I don't think they're going to repeat the very poor performance from their season opener. I think they can pull out a W in this game, not shoot the ball as bad as they did for 2 games in a row. Let's take Chicago here and the minus 2.5. Up next, the Houston Rockets in San Antonio taking on Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs currently 2-point home favorites. I had them also favored by 2. The Rockets in their opener stunk it up, got destroyed in Orlando, got beat down by 30. The Rockets look like the losing habits from last year. They're not able to shake them off quite yet. That game, very strange. It was a game of runs. Orlando jumped out to a big lead to start. Houston caught up. Houston fell down by 20. I think they then made a run, caught up, cut the game to 2, and then Orlando just took over once again, blew it wide open towards the end of the third quarter and in the fourth quarter. Got a huge lead, never looked back. Blowout, 30 points for the Rockets. A big loss in their season opener. The Spurs in their opener, a very competitive and entertaining ball game against the Dallas Mavericks, a game that was going back and forth. The Spurs looked like they were ready to get the win in that ball game, but Luka Magic did his thing at the end, and Dallas managed to win that game by 7. The Spurs showed some very promising stuff. The young players looked solid. Overall, they looked very comfortable, playing hard. Usual Coach Popovich team. San Antonio Spurs, impressive in their debut. Now, this line, guys, in my opinion, looks a little low. I think it is going to invite quite a bit of money here on the Spurs. We know the Victor Wembanyama hype is huge at the moment. The Rockets got destroyed by 30. Line is very low, guys. This is going to be a contrarian strategy bet. I know the public, everyone is going to be backing Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs here. Of course, after the 30-point blow the Houston Rockets suffered in their opener, the Spurs looking very solid against the Mavs. Everyone's going to jump on the Spurs. I'm going to go the other way. Contrarian bet. We're going to take Houston Rockets here and the +2. Up next, we got the Brooklyn Nets traveling to Dallas to take on the Mavs. The Mavs currently 6.5-point home favorites. I had them favored by 7. Start off talking about the Nets. Guys, in their season opener, dropped that game by a point. A game that they let slip out of their hands. They had under control. Had a pretty good lead towards the end, but could not close the deal. Donovan Mitchell hit a big 3 with about 10 seconds left and sent the Nets to an L in their season opener. Overall, played pretty decent. In that game, small guard Cam Thomas had a big game. He scored 36 points in just 25 minutes, 13 for 21 from the field. Instant offense. The dude just came in and just started jacking up shots, and everything was dropping. We've seen him. He put in some big performances like this last year also. Very entertaining guard, to say the least. In this ballgame, from the injury front, guys, Nick Claxton, their starting center, is going to miss. He's expected to miss. He injured his ankle in that ballgame. He's not going to be in the lineup for the Nets. That could be a blow for them down on the blocks, but a very perimeter-oriented team anyway, so I don't know how much this is going to affect them and their style of play. They're going to be coming into this game guns blazing, a lot of three-point shots, up-tempo basketball. Something that the Mavs also enjoy doing themselves. They put up 126 points in their first game, their season opener in San Antonio. A game that did not look that sharp, to be honest. I didn't see much of an improvement from what they showed us last year ever since Kyrie came over, but they still managed to get the job done. Luka made some huge plays down the end, scored 33 points in that game. He is definitely looking sharp. Looks like he's lost some weight. He's looking physically fit. One of the top players in the league, definitely top 3 in the league, Luka. In this ballgame, guys, the 6.5 points, this is just an empirical assessment. I don't know what their ATS is at home. I don't really follow these stats. But I know the Mavs, these kind of numbers at home, they're not really a team that can really cover these lines. I'm going to go here with a bet on Brooklyn and the +6.5. I think they could be very competitive in this game. Why not even win it straight up? Anything can happen. This looks like a game that, seriously, anything can happen. Dallas could blow them out, and they could easily lose straight up. Both teams very inconsistent. I'm going to take the dog here, take the points. Brooklyn +6.5, my pick in this game. Up next, we've got the LA Clippers traveling to Salt Lake City to take on the Utah Jazz. The Clippers 3.5-point road favorites currently. I had them favored by 4. The Clippers, one word to describe their season opener: dominant. They came out guns blazing, looked very, very solid. Maybe the most impressive team in the season opener. Played very well from start to finish. Of course, they were playing against the Blazers, a team that is in a rebuilding mode. But still, usually games like this can be a little tricky. The better teams do tend to play down to their competition. The Clippers did not do this. They came out just guns blazing. Russell Westbrook, very impressive. He scored 5 field goals. I think all 5 of them were dunks. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, 23 and 27 points respectively. Very good ball game from the Clippers. It was not as close as the final score indicates, 123 to 111. Once the subs came in, garbage time. Portland hit a few shots, made the final score look respectable. But the Clippers extremely dominant in this ball game. The Utah Jazz in their opener at home taking on the Sacramento Kings. They could not keep up with Sacramento. Sacramento with their usual up-tempo basketball. Utah tried to counter them in their style of play. Didn't work. They lost big time by 16, gave up 130 points. Bad start for the Utah Jazz to this regular season. Now, in this ball game, guys, 3.5 points. From what I saw in the opener, the only way I can go here is with the Clippers. I know it does look like a bit of a square play, but sometimes you just got to take the better team, even if it does look square. Clippers here at -3.5. They should be able to win and cover the spread, even though Utah is capable of doing the damage if the Clippers allow them to. But from like I said in their game against the Blazers, they did not allow themselves to play down to the competition. They came out very serious, very focused, played nice, a very nice game overall. I think they can repeat that in this game. Clippers -3.5, my pick in this ball game. Up next, we got the Orlando Magic traveling to the Rose Garden to take on the Portland Trail Blazers. The Orlando Magic currently 2.5-point road favorites. I had them favored by 3 in this game. The Magic couldn't ask for a better season opener. Big blowout win at home against the Houston Rockets by 30. The team was firing on all cylinders. The rebuilding process seems to be going very smoothly for the Magic. They're going to try to make that extra step, possibly get into the play-in tournament. The first signs were very good. A team is getting rewarded for not tanking last year, building winning habits in their players. The team looks very, very solid. The Portland Trail Blazers, on the other hand, did not play that well in their first ball game. Fell down by 30. They were on the road playing against the Clippers. Of course, the Clippers, one of the top teams in the league, but the Trailblazers did not show up at all in that game. The final score, 12-point loss, kind of actually flatters them. They were down 30. The game was a no contest pretty much from start to finish. Scoot Henderson, the rookie in that game, scored 11 points, played 36 minutes, got his feet wet, looked a little shell-shocked to be honest. It's going to take a little bit of time. Of course, all the rookies go through some growing pains. The Trailblazers are going to look to pick up their first win of the season at home. Usually, historically, they are a much better team at home than they are on the road. Of course, this is a completely different roster, different situation. The rebuilding process starting this season, the post Dame Lillard era. In this ballgame, guys, the obvious choice, of course, is the Orlando Magic. The teams look like nothing compared to each other from the first game of the regular season, from opening night. But I think, guys, the whole herd is going to be running over to take the Magic. When I see too much money going one way, what I do, this is a part of my strategy. I go the other way, take my chances. I'm going to look to take a play here with the Portland Trailblazers here with the +2.5. Like I've talked about plenty of times, guys, the roster is not that bad. Of course, it will take some time for all this to come together, but I just don't think they're as bad as what they showed in the first game of the season. Whereas the Orlando Magic, of course, an impressive young team, a little ahead in the rebuilding process, but I like the Blazers here with the +2.5. When I see everybody going one way, like I said, I like to go the other most of the times. This is strictly a play, a contrarian strategy bet, taking the Blazers here with the +2.5. Let's see what happens. And finally, our last game of the night, we got the Golden State Warriors making the short trip from San Francisco to Sacramento to take on the Kings. The Kings currently 3-point home favorites. I had them favored by 2.5. The Golden State Warriors, talk about them first in their season opener. We're at home taking on the Phoenix Suns. dropped that game by 4 points. The Golden State Warriors, one of the top home teams in the league last year, started off this year's regular season campaign with an L. No embarrassment though, losing to the Phoenix Suns. The Suns, one of the top teams in the league. Nothing to really be ashamed of. The performance though was not that great overall. The Golden State Warriors did not look anything like the team that we've gotten used to seeing the previous years. 104 points at home. Just you can just tell that they're a step slow. They're not the same team that they used to be. Draymond Green was missing from that ball game. He's out with an ankle injury. The injury report shows that he's also going to miss tonight, which means Golden State more small ball is going to be in the works. Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson in the backcourt, Wiggins and Looney in the front court. But against the Sacramento Kings, it shouldn't hurt them that bad. Sacramento, also a team that likes to play a lot of small ball. I talked about this earlier in their game, their opener in Utah. They just kept playing the same way that they got us used to watching them play last year. Up and down the court, layups, dunks, and threes. 130 points in Utah. Got an easy W. Very, very impressive opening game for the Sacramento Kings. At home, whenever these two teams guys get together, Sacramento, Golden State, it's always very entertaining. I expect much of the same tonight. The Golden State Warriors, we know last year, very poor on the road, one of the worst teams in the league. This year, I think they have gotten significantly worse. Kings looking good. Let's take them here with the -3 at home. Let's keep things simple. Sacramento -3, my pick in this last game of today's schedule. And that is a wrap for today's video, guys. 11 games on this Friday night. We broke down each one of these games, did our analysis. I gave you my best picks for each of these games. Let's see how we do on this Friday night. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, guys, I have a very, very hot play for tonight. My best bet of the night. As always, though, it's going to be later on tonight. Make sure we don't have any funny stuff, any late injuries, any wacky line movements, or anything. Anything can really happen, guys. I always want to wait closer towards tip-off before I put in my bets. But this game, guys, I've been watching this from yesterday. I'm very hot on it. Make sure you tune in later. If you haven't subscribed, I'm going to say it again. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. You're not going to want to miss out tonight's play. It is definitely a banger. And with that being said, I'm going to wish you guys good luck on your plays. Let's get it. Big 11 game schedule. Lots of action tonight. Let's enjoy and let's make some money. Till the next video, guys, good luck once again, and I will see you later. Peace.